my undergrad degree was in applied math, and Shakespeare mostly had me teaching math and statistics.
I'm Adam Martinez. I'm a software engineer, but that's kind of just my day job. I recently, since I graduated college, I've been getting interested in like urban planning, that kind of thing. Just ways to make cities, I guess, more efficient and better for everyone. Part of that's sustainability. So that, and then I've just been trying to get more involved in local politics. So I also like good wording a lot, so that kind of helps.
I don't think we knew that about you yet, so everyone pack that away. We've got a bird.
Got me on eBird.
Oh, nice. All right. All right. Love it. Well, thanks. Thanks for doing the intro. We'll make sure that the folks get to introduce themselves next month. Okay, so last month, because we were voting on the May minutes and we had Mitchell come kind of the last second, we moved it around. We're going to revote just to have it locked in that it was a very orderly vote. So the May minutes have not changed since the last time we voted on them. So we will go through that and then we'll also follow up with the June minutes. So we'll do the May minutes first, if anyone wants to
move to vote to approve the May minutes.
Second.
All right, and do you want to do the voting as well?
Yes.
Rachel?
Okay. Carrie Albright,
I vote yes to approve.
Nadia Kane. Yes. Matt Colby,
Yes.
Michael Litwin,
Yes.
Adam Martinez,
Yes.
Megan Murphy. Yes. David Parkhurst,
Yes.
and motion passes.
We've done it again. Thank you all.
I move we approve June minutes.
Second.
Perfect.
One. Seven.
Okay, that's why we cheered when you walked in.
I was gonna abstain, but I guess I better not.
There's no threat. There's no pressure.
Nadia Kane,
Yes.
Matt Colby,
Yes.
Michael Litwin,
Yes.
Adam Martinez,
Yes.
Megan Murphy. Yes. David Parkhurst.
Yes.
Carrie Albright.
I vote yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you all for going through that. Thank you for the feedback on any of the May and June minutes. It's always nice to have people take a look at those, see if they feel like we've covered our bases, and Brennan always does a great job, but we appreciate you taking a look. All right, so we have time for public comments in case there's anyone lingering outside. Do we have anyone online that would like to
Nope.
chime in? Great. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move forward. It is 6:08, by the way, so let's just keep on trucking. For old business, we have the 48 resolution of support. That was something we talked about last month because we had received a request to send through a resolution that was provided to us. There's a little bit of dialogue about, is this something that makes sense for us? Do we have questions about it? Do we want to change the language in the document? So because Matt's talked to Chris a couple times, I figured it'd be a good fit for just sort of leading the conversation around what this resolution may become for us or not.
Give me just a second to find that email.
And also, we're gonna start doing packets more formally for our meetings. We've never really done that in the past, so as there are documents and things like that that we want to be sharing, that'll be included when we send out the agenda.
You say it's great that it's included up there. I was prepared to have to read it to people, but. Okay, I know when we spoke about it last, there were concerns about what exactly we're supporting, whether this is bus routes or a rideshare type model. Also just kind of how important our support was in general. We wanted details and context before we could get, before we took it to any kind of vote. I was told that this is very early stages, but they are talking about bus routes, not the rideshare type model. The BT is doing that, or is about to be doing that in a couple of underserved areas, but generally speaking, they're talking about trying to get a bus out there, and what they want is to just show that there is public support for public transit expanded beyond city limits. That's only been possible by ordinance for about a year now, and it hasn't actually happened yet. So they're reaching out to different groups just to show that generally speaking, there is support for more bus routes. So I personally think that's great. I don't know how much weight this will carry, but what we wanted to do was we wanted to look at the language of this and see if we wanted to tweak any of it before calling a vote. Because I mean, I'll just say personally, I'm generally in favor of approving an ordinance, but let's make sure we like the language first. Or I mean, a letter of recommendation, I guess.
Did they have any kind of study on what the ridership is likely to be?
They do not. They're basically just saying that it's a growing area, both from an education and business standpoint, so they aren't looking at it as an important hub. But there is no advanced knowledge of just how utilized such a route would be.
I agree with Matt that I strongly support the initiative and the idea that they are looking at a bus model and not car share. To me, alleviates any concerns that they're gonna make some sort of method that would be less environmentally friendly than having students drive independently. So I am fully comfortable with the current language and would support it as is.
Is that a motion?
I don't know, there was so much discussion last time. It was
Yeah.
hesitant.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Well, I was gonna say, it would take a minute
Yeah.
to read it if you aren't
Yeah,
familiar.
Do you have-
I have one physical copy
Yeah.
if that helps. I printed one off today, because again, I was prepared to read it, but otherwise it's up on the screen. Either one.
Oh, go ahead.
I know that one thing that I had mentioned had to do with, so this is a pretty theoretical language around the concept of doing something, and I think that I agree, and generally speaking, it seems like an idea that we could get behind. But I know that one of the things that we kind of exchanged a little bit about was, if this does go forward, is there any place for the environmental commission to weigh in on how it's being planned out? As far as basically what that development looks like. So typically that's where like the ECPC would come in and have the opportunity to speak to that. So I don't know that it's all of this hinges on us being able to, but I do think that there is an element that might make sense for us to say, to express our eagerness towards having some kind of future conversation or input, or have this rich, like, conversation come back to us as development starting or something like that. Because right now it seems like it's just in the funding process.
Right, so are you suggesting adding any type of language on that, or just making clear that we would like to follow up and kind of be involved as it goes along? Because I'm guessing when the actual route stuff happens, BT will make their decisions through whatever their process is, but
Two questions. What is this part 48? Where is it? How big it is? Is it?
I can
I
look
was
up.
gonna say, you can bring up
Probably.
one map, maybe.
Yeah,
It
if
is
that's, yeah,
by Ivy Tech. It specifically, I think it's a Cook campus just north of Ivy Tech, so it's hitting Cook and Ivy Tech sort of in one.
Cook as the business?
Mhm.
Okay.
Will this be from the downtown terminal, or the other bus routes, or is it?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think
I
that's
don't know
not
if it-
confirmed yet.
Right, I don't know if it would take a connecting one or if it would be direct from there. They're in the early stages. And that's where, I mean, when I read this draft, my initial concern is, are we, throwing our weight behind something that we don't know much about, but upon more conversations and rereading, I thought, well, this is basically just straightforward language as to why public transit is favorable from an environmental standpoint. So that's why I feel comfortable with saying, yeah, I'm all right with this and I support the project, even though it is early and we don't know a lot of details. So it doesn't seem like anything's, misrepresented in any way.
I don't know where it is on the map. It's a huge campus. It's like not finding a good way to look it up on the Google Maps. It's barely visible, but it's basically this, huge series of buildings and warehouses, things like that on the far west side. I think it's, Yeah, out by Ivy Tech, I guess is,
Yeah, I think just north of,
Maybe.
but pretty, I guess that's somewhat substantially outside of city limits.
How many employees are out there?
it's a great
I
question.
don't have the answer to that either.
Are you just curious about if it's gonna actually be used by people, or is your
Right,
thought?
how many people are there that might use it as opposed to driving their cars?
It's a good question. I assume that they've got an estimate somewhere for that, just because they're proposing it, and I assume that financially speaking, it needs to be worth it, but they also did mention the school, so it's possible that they're saying there are people who will be more inclined to use these, the Ivy Tech services and programs and stuff like that, if they can get to it more easily. So I think that there is like the kind of equity and access to transportation, things like that, that they're also thinking about, but obviously for us, it's an environmental thing, they're bringing around. Hello, Mitchell, welcome.
We're discussing if we want any revisions to any of this language in the supporting the Part 48 public transit sort of letter of recommendation here. Yeah, again, it doesn't really have anything in the form of teeth. It's mostly just saying there is public support for this, and ours, I guess, specifically saying there are environmental reasons that we support public transportation, which seems like a fair representation. But if anything up there you would want changed, removed, or added, just take a look.
I like the idea of encouraging them to come back once there's a little bit more concrete plan. But I don't know, like changing the language would be the best way to do that.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, and that my gut feeling was, well, I'm okay with the resolution as it's written, but I'd be happy to express to Chris personally, or the EC could reach out to him as he represents the
Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce, to say that, yeah, we are interested in keeping in touch at each stage.
Yeah, I would be personally opposed to adding that as formal language, that I don't wanna be people who are placing barriers in the way of good environmental projects, right?
Yeah, for
I
sure.
feel like as we got from Sean, in a lot of ways, these are limited by employee man hours, right? In getting them done.
Kind of just to like, I think I've heard a couple times people have said like, this is an environmental support for environmental reasons. And I think there's a lot of factors that they're working with, whether that be economic or like capacity. But like, I think when you boil it down, the language as is very good, because it is our job to say this is environmentally good. And while it's important that like we consider all the other things, I think that this is very substantial as it is.
Yeah, pretty much anything that gets people out of cars is gonna be a good environment to use.
I guess it boils down to the city isn't gonna do it if there aren't enough people out there to take the bus, so I therefore move that we accept this language and send it off.
Second,
And then Corinna also joined online.
Hi, Corinna.
Okay, I'll start it with the votes. Matt Colby,
yes.
Michael Litwin,
Yes,
Adam Martinez,
Yes,
Megan Murphy,
Yes.
Mitchell Owens,
Yes.
David Parkhurst,
Yes,
Corinna Tinkersley,
I'm gonna abstain because I don't know what we're talking about, to be honest.
definitely. Carrie Albright,
Oh, yes.
Nadia Kane,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. All right, so I can follow up with Chris, with this letter and include the note that we would love to stay in the loop as you get to the next phase. Okay. Okay, thanks everyone for the discussion and consideration. Appreciate a nice dialogue. Okay, next item on the agenda is the Heat Watch campaign updates. So if we would like to give an update, you're welcome to. If you'd rather I jump in, I can too, but happy to give folks an idea of where we're at as far as that project goes.
But you might have the most recent knowledge of where we stand. We were tasked with identifying 10 locations relatively well distributed across the city of Bloomington for air quality monitors. We've identified most of those and. Yeah, I'm just gonna say, Carrie, if you have more information, you can share.
Yeah, so Nadia and Matt did a great job of reaching out to folks all across the city of Bloomington to find spots, and I would say we were able to cover the vast majority of them, and then I reached out to Sean and she was able to put me in touch with a few other folks, so we've got a really nice distribution of folks across the city for this Airbnbs, I suppose. So I joined a call with Sean and the Kappa Strategies folks, who are the ones who are sort of facilitating this across a lot of different cities. I think the nearest one is Fort Wayne is doing a similar thing. And so right now they're just kind of getting all their final ducks in a row, at which point they will distribute the beacons to be installed. And as we all may recall, we had a few folks on the EC who offered to help with the installation process. Seems like it's gonna be really easy, really like security is the actual biggest concern, just meaning stability, to where they go and that they're in a space that's appropriate for the airflow and all that. But we're just kind of sitting on that and just waiting for, those devices and also the training video. There should be an updated version of that for folks who would do. Theoretically, we would be there to install them, but I know there are a lot of folks who feel pretty comfortable doing it themselves. So either way, we'll provide Sean with the names, addresses, and an image of where the Airbnb will go or beacon will go, or once it's installed.
I believe all the sites that have been selected are residential, so security hopefully isn't much of an issue because no one's walking onto other people's lots to tinker with things.
Yeah, we had one conversation of a building kind of in that sort of northwestish corner of town that they're trying to figure out what would be the best, sort of safest place for that device to go. But yeah, I think it's mainly residential, which is totally fine. It's an easy way to get permission and be able to go pick them up, take them down if the time permits. So yeah, it's moving along. Sean sent a message saying she is very deeply grateful for everyone who offered their homes, and especially to the two of you for like putting that time and effort into figuring out where the heck we're gonna do this and reaching out to so many organizations too, because getting the city involved, getting the community involved is a big part of this. So it's nice that it's individual residents and that we at least brought the topic to different facilities and stuff. So, yeah.
And before we move on, Sean's team asked me to share the heat survey. I'm not sure if it was presented last month, but it's live now. It's available both in English and Spanish. And the ask is to have residents share their experiences on heat and how they cope with heat, and what types of cooling strategies and resources they'd like to see implemented throughout the city. And should you be so inclined, feel free to share the flyer, and I can send the flyer separately for those that want to share it.
Perfect. I think I may have forwarded that to everybody, but it was probably tucked within something else, so it may have gone under the radar. It's great. And you have a chance to win a $20 gift card. So if you're, in an emergency situation looking to replenish that fund, you got it. Okay, and so the August long, which is kind of winding up here, so cool. Thanks for sharing that, Rachel. Okay, well, we will move on to the next item. So this is sort of just an open call for working groups. I had one note that I want to make sure we talked about, but as far as the working groups go that have been gathering, are there any updates on either conversations you've been having, projects we've been working on, or anything that you're looking for maybe more activity or assistance with?
Water didn't meet this month. Did anyone have a chance to reach out to the stormwater folks yet?
I can text her.
Okay. That works.
I forget, what is the next step is, just sitting down with them and kind of just talking about.
We've sat down a little bit, but just really trying to hash out like what can we do for like helping with outreach and developing like what messages do they want to get out and how can we help get those out, basically.
Do you know off the top of the head, do you know when the next meeting is off the top of your head?
August would be nice, but that's when I was kind of thinking if we had a report done, so. Whatever, the first thing for about 2 weeks.
Sounds good. So Brenna, I know that you've been, just up to all sorts of Portuguese business. As far as the biodiversity working group, I know we talked about some different stuff and things we're gonna try and take care of this summer. Is there anything that you would like some assistance on or want to share any updates for?
No, I don't really have any updates right now. The biodiversity working group did not meet this month. I will try to make sure that we get to meet next month. So, because I've been out of the country and Shannon has also been on her adventure, so it didn't seem really worthwhile to try to make a meeting. But I will probably be personally trying to work on some of those action items, and then maybe I'll try to bring something to the next biodiversity working group meeting. But I don't really have anything right now to share or to update. But if anyone else on that group wants to jump in, if they've been thinking about what we've been doing, I don't know. I've been enjoying Portugal, so.
And that's totally fine. That sounds pretty wonderful. Well, great. Well, if you have any interest, so Karina, do you mind like just recapping kind of what we talked about the last meeting as far as what we're making kind of our priority for this year?
Yeah, so I'm gonna do it without notes in front of me, but basically, one of the things that we are working on is trying to pursue Bee City USA certification with the city of Bloomington and potentially trying to partner with the university to also do that simultaneously. So what that kind of entails is like kind of a stepwise process where we have to draft sort of this we have to draft something to be adopted by the city council ultimately, and so we're gonna have to go through a couple of phases of getting input about those things, finding partners with the city, and just ensuring that it like fits with the city's goals and trying to get buy-in with what we're up to. Other things, I might need to popcorn to someone. That's mostly what I remember.
No, that was great. That was great. And that was kind of just like a reintroduction of the topic. Yeah, the next step, if I remember, is reaching out to some of those contacts that we have and just sort of beginning to think through what that language could look like. So it's a couple stages of proposing that to the council. So yeah, but it's a really cool idea, and it seems like it's not one of the more difficult things that we've done. It's just kind of getting through those steps of formalizing and becoming certified. So fingers crossed. One thing I wanted to bring up was kind of, I guess, within the outreach working group is Bug Fest is coming up at the end of August. So I want to do a quick check on who is interested. I'm looking at Megan so much, but like who's interested in tabling, who has ideas for what we might bring to the table, anything like that that might be useful. But wanted to put that out there. August 24th. Yes, and it's not at the Hilltop. Is it Switchard probably?
It's at Karst Farm.
Oh, Karst Farm. Oh, nice. Okay. All right, so it's at Karst, which is lovely. Is anybody interested in raising their hand tentatively to be part of it? Thank God, Megan, yes.
I'll give it a tentative.
All right, I like it. Adam, thank you.
Yeah. Same.
Tentative from Matt as well, okay. All right.
I think I can probably do it.
Oh, Mike, I love it, thank you. Okay. Matt, tentative. I'm going to try my hardest to be there as well, because who doesn't love children learning about bugs?
And it is, if I remember correctly, not the shortest of events, so even just being there for a couple hours
Yep.
is great.
We'll do shifts for sure.
4 to 6 hours or something.
Mhm.
And it's a very busy event,
Yes.
but we will just talk the whole time.
Yeah. As far as what we do at the table, I mean, obviously there's some of the materials that we have that are a bit more grown-up related, but as far as things that would be more educational for kiddos.
Can't get bug bingo out of my mind, like that just, I don't know. If you made little bingo cards for kids, they could like put bug stickers on the ones they find or see out.
Oh, yeah,
Out and
that's
about.
a nice idea.
Seems like a good thing to dovetail with the Bee City thing too.
Oh, that's a great point. Okay, I like bug bingo. Or, you know, what we could do is we could have a bug bingo that is for the happy native insects and then one for the not so great ones.
I like the idea of getting the bingo that you don't want, just be a good.
You
bug.
squish the body onto that little spot of a marker. I'm just kidding, strike that from the, but I think it's a really fun idea though, of like having kids to have that awareness of like looking to see if the insect that they're observing is one from their bingo card. It's really cute. All right.
Do we want to try to do the, having a laptop present and habitat connectivity plan markers, or are we planning on sort of rebooting that?
That's a good question.
Because it's one of those things where if we're gonna roll with the model we have, I think it'd be great to get more markers on there, but if we're starting it fresh, then I guess it's less important then.
I don't know what other people think about that, but my thought is it wouldn't hurt to have it. And maybe we don't prioritize it necessarily if we have other things that are working really well, but depending on what kind of interest we have from families saying, you know, oh, this looks really great, or, oh, I really want to improve, you know, the native species I have to have more native insects, or, you know, kind of thinking through what it looks like to have private property. That would be not a bad idea to at least bring something that they can do that with.
Some people, when you're talking about the brochures and deer resistant plants and whatever else, volunteer that, oh yeah, I did such and such with this area, and that's exactly what we're putting on the map. This is the things that they've done, so even if we're planning on remaking the mapping process, at some point, this would still be data points.
Okay.
So I guess I'd be in favor of still trying that.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I'm guessing that we can get 2 tables set up, but I'm trying to imagine like if we make an L or something, there's an adult table.
Right.
And it's like, because the whole event is so kid driven that I think getting folks to engage with how we've had it set up.
So while the kids are touching the bugs,
Yeah.
we're talking to the parents about landscaping.
Yeah, it's pretty much how the item table worked last year. One
Yeah.
table was live bugs, the other table was like, here's what we're doing. So,
Okay. As far as the specimens go,
I will have a box that kids can touch if that is what we want to do again. But yeah.
thank you for offering this. I hope, thank you. to
It's my
students.
students.
Yeah, thank
They're
you.
doing
for
the work.
us. Yes, okay.
I tell them, right, you leave it with me, here's what will happen to it, it will be destroyed. But kids will learn.
Nice. Okay. Any other thoughts of what might be fun at the Bug Fest? Bug bingo, touchable bugs, born grown-up stuff, no, habitat connectivity plan opportunities, anything else?
Would you like me to make the bug bingo?
Would you like to make the bug bingo?
Sure, yeah.
Thank you, Nadia, thank you. Okay, I'll put this, put a note about that, and then I'll just kind of check in, so in case things get busy. That sounds great. Thank you so much for offering that.
If you wanna discuss it, I'll hit me up.
Yeah, if you have certain like bug things. Yeah.
Are you gonna hand illustrate, or you can use
Oh,
like the art?
I mean, I could, it would take a little bit.
I love
We'll
it.
see.
I love it. You know, that's a worthwhile.
I'm a
art project.
broken record every year. Do you think we'll be a stamp?
We
I-
asked.
I
that's
do,
what I'm saying.
yeah.
If you make bingo, then you have your own stuff.
Yeah, he was saying like, yeah, I have not heard any confirmation either.
Yeah, I think we just carve our own potato stamps. Next time, listen, it's not sanctioned by Bug Fest, but we'll get you going on your
But I
bingo
will put a
card.
stamp on there.
Keep it. Okay, well, as folks have thoughts on other things that we might do at the table, bring them up, because we're always trying to figure out how to have people want to learn more and be more engaged and, obviously learn about things that are healthy in their backyards and the things that they need to be wary of. Okay. All right, well, if there's nothing left on that agenda item, the new business here I added because this is something that we talked about doing for our 2025 EC sort of priorities. Was we talked about lots of different ways of kind of staying engaged, and one of the things that came up was a weed wrangle, and people saying that sounds like a lot of fun. I think it sounds like a lot of fun. So what we don't currently have a commissioner attending MC Iris, which was sort of our in previously, and obviously Don, who is a former commissioner was doing a lot of volunteering with weed wranglers anyway, so it was very easy for us to have that communication connection. But since we don't have somebody at MC Iris on the regular, I would love to have anybody who's who would like to volunteer to reach out to them to say, okay, what are the dates? Who at the EC would be interested in participating in the weed wrangle? Do we want to reach out to another commission like Because or something like that to be involved as well? And try and get something like that on the books. I know that we're in the throes of, well, this week maybe not, but we're moving into that really miserable weather, so I understand that people want to be cautious about heat safety and all of that. That's super important, of course, but we talk about doing this and it's always nice and interesting to get engaged. Does anybody feel compelled to be the contact person for getting a weed wrangle going?
Jinx. Except you, you're welcome. I was gonna say, my class works with them
Oh, that-
daily right now, so they talk
Yeah.
like I.
Sounds good. Cool, so Megan, if you don't mind, like, just kind of maybe doing a call to the EC of anybody interested, and then just kind of finding some dates that they would be open to.
Yeah,
I'm interested in the fall,
Yeah.
not in the summer.
yeah, well, I think we'll probably want to plan pretty far in advance.
Well,
I know
perfect.
they are very busy and they have weed wrangles most days of the week.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
This commission was involved in one about 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and I decided I didn't want to do it again.
I love it, I'm just desperate to weed things all the time, I'm on the trail, I'm like,
I don't have to do on my own property.
We just do a weed wrangle round of just wander around all of our properties, do all the weeding there, and then head out to the trail.
They've lately been
Good
doing in Crestmont and Winslow Sports Park, they've done a lot of native seedling plantings to get more trees going in these no-mow areas. And it's been a really cool, they have a forester who has been coming and like teaching us how to care for all the seedlings, and I learned a lot the last few times I've done it.
I love it. Okay, well, thank you for volunteering to help coordinate it for our group. You are not required to participate in a weed wrangle, but again, it's educational, it's good for our community, it gets more of that word out. On some of y'all's agendas, there may still be the WFHB PSA draft, but it is now updated to not be there because it has been far too busy of a week for me to put that together for you. So consider that a non-agenda item if you're looking at it on your paper. And then from here, we just got our different reports. So I'm happy to turn the mic over to David.
Right, well, the tree commission met this past Monday. I have an urban forestry report from Haskell Smith, but it's all kind of an outline, and so I usually send those on to you, but this time I didn't because it's just outline. And as you might suppose, the tree commission meeting was mostly talking about tree damage from the big storm. So Haskell said that in terms of street trees, there have been 250 plus street tree failures. And he didn't know how many failures there would be in the parks. And I was walking along the creek in Southeast Park today, and well, several times in the last couple of weeks, and there's major damage in that trail. He said there are probably 1,000 trees in city property and maybe 2,500 for the whole town. And he did say that Winslow Woods was hard hit, especially the big beeches in that park. Going down a bit, he said there's a new tree commission member, a guy named Travis Harding, who they thought was an arborist, which would be just great, but after being appointed, he hasn't come to the first two meetings, so this is not looking good. He mentioned that there's an ongoing investigation where T24D drifted over from an adjacent farm onto the city's nursery and caused some minor tree damage. And the state chemist has looked into that, but, at this point, they're not gonna sue the guy, but they warned the farmer to be more careful not to spray on windy days the way he had done this time. Going on. There's always a report from the urban forester, there's a report from the environmental commission, which is me. So I reported on our last meeting. And then Mia Williams, who's the IU landscape architect is the member there. And she said that IU is now fully staffed. They have 3 arborists. They were doing storm damage cleanup, and spring planting is complete. And one interesting thing was we looked at a map of the tree damage on the campus here in Bloomington and saw 3 distinct pathways of tree damage. It sort of looked as if they're not, tornadoes exactly, but there must have been heavy winds along specific trails, pathways that caused this tree damage, and then there was random damage elsewhere too. That was kind of the most interesting part of her report. So that's the end of the tree commission report. There's nothing else to report on Iraq or Friends of Lakeland Road.
Well, thanks for the update from the tree commission. I know I've been very curious to hear as they are able to collect stats on how many trees are down. 'Cause I knew it was, I think, over 200 that are, the
Just
street trees, but that, so there are thousands throughout all the different properties. Oh, okay, well, great, well, thank you for the reports. Okay, so we are on to BCOS, which I know that Karena is no longer attending. Did we have somebody who'd volunteer to step in or listen to the meetings for BCOS? Okay, I am going to put myself down to attend. It's the second Tuesday of the month, I believe, which I might be out of town for August, but I will plan to attend the next one that I can, and then come back with some input, because the BCOS team are very open to having those conversations of how we can work together. So as we're doing things like preparing a leave run and things like that, we can definitely stay in touch there. Okay, and then MC Iris, we have anybody attending? I presumed not, but just before I brush that off the agenda.
Linda was doing that.
I know. I sure hope she applies for the EC in the future.
And before that, Don, and I recently got in touch with Don and asked if I could pay him to do some invasive work on our property. And he said, well, he had a very big, heavy dog. And he had been walking the dog, and the dog had gone after a deer and tipped him over, and he had 3 vertebrae in his back that were damaged. So he didn't want to work for me. Sorry to hear,
Yeah, oh, that's too bad. That must be scary.
Do we know when they meet regularly? I'm on their website right now, but I'm not finding come to our meetings.
Yeah, they meet on the 2nd Wednesdays of the month.
Do you know what time that is? Is it daytime?
It's daytime. I wasn't able to attend last week, but it's at 1 p.m.
Rachel, are you often attending these MCIS meetings?
I hope to attend in the future, so.
Okay, all right. Great. Well, as our team figures out what we can do, I may ask you for what you're hearing there.
Definitely.
Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. We have successfully gone through all the items on our agenda. This is our opportunity for commissioner announcements, whether it's something related to your EC work, your professional work, or any update that you'd like to share. The table is open.
Short one, you've probably read the newspaper, seen that we have a local snake that's proposed for federal or not proposed, but being studied for the federal endangered species list. And there's a population of the Sycamore Land Trust property.
Oh, you know that.
What type of snake?
snake, Kirtland snake. It's tiny things, about the size of a garter snake.
Spends most of its time underground in wet sites, we're not gonna see it.
Yeah.
Alright,
I had something I wanted to shout out. I've been working with a local housing advocacy group recently, and they have some UDO changes that they've been working on getting passed. And I recommended they come here sometime because, housing, carbon footprints kind of go hand in hand to an extent.
yeah,
So just be on the lookout for that.
excellent. And if they'd like to be like formally on the agenda, just let us know, and if they would rather just kind of come and be part of the public comment, they get, I think it's 20 minutes or so, actually, no, it's maybe 5 minutes per person, let me double check that, but they've got, 5 minutes per person, but 20 minutes for the, full segment, so yeah.
I'll let them know. Also, I'll be at the farmers market on Saturday, if anyone wants to stop by.
What would we be doing with the farmers market?
Advocating for housing.
Nice,
affordability.
nice. Excellent.
This is a little broad, but pertinent to the environmental management and regulatory world, so we may see some of this in the next few years, but a few weeks ago, the Supreme Court overturned the Chevron deference rule. So now regulatory agencies won't have as much, I feel that, won't have as much say in how they interpret their rules, if Congress hasn't explicitly said what to do. Like this will not only affect the EPA, but like the FDA. But obviously I'm most concerned about the EPA. So that should be interesting in the coming years because any disputes over regulations will have to go through the courts. Rather than just letting the EPA and the experts decide what to do.
Never mind what the experts think.
And happy news.
Nobody wants to follow me.
Some of
In more cheerfulness, I got a picture of a cool bug at work today, if anybody wants to see.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
what?
dead, but I got a picture of a cool bug in a sample I was working on at work today, so it's very large, but unfortunately very dead. If it was alive, I would not have been handling it.
What was it?
It's a Megaloptera larva, so it's a Dobson fly. When they're larvae, they're called helper mites because they're very large and scary looking and will bite the ever living out of them. And this one was about the size of my finger. So, like I said, they get real big.
The adults are.
Yeah.
No, well,
Or might want to find.
Creeks, rivers, streams, usually in like high quality waters. This was from, I think, somewhere in northern Indiana that was doing well, but yeah, it's something that if it is a nice stream, we usually find a handful of them, but it's Indiana, so we don't always find that many nice streams. So, yeah, they're cool. And also I always get a little scared when I find a live one in a sample. I don't get it one.
Yeah. We find a lot of adults at Griffey and I've never found a single helper mite. Sorry, that's.
Yeah.
I somehow